This is the classroom reassignment tutorial. For those who haven't met me, my name is Nick Steyer. I'm the account clerk in the treasurer's office responsible for the classroom reassignment. My phone number is 365-6772 if you have any questions about this or need any help. What I'd like to go over is the new classroom reassignment form, the electronic copy of it. I'd like to go over a couple classroom reassignment forms from last year and how to enter those into the new form. I'd also like to go over one classroom reassignment from last year that had a small issue on it that I believe I have fixed with this new form. It should be a little easier to enter for you. And then one form that didn't have an issue that might have an issue on the new form and how to solve it. So what you can do is go onto the intranet. I believe we will be posting the classroom reassignment form. You can download it onto your desktop. You can save it on a shared folder. The location does not matter. As long as you know where it is, you can open it up and it should be fine. First thing you'll notice when you open it up is there may be some warnings up at the top. I think the first one will ask you if you would like to enable macros. The second one will ask you if you would like to enable editing, I think. You can click through both of those. Click yes. I wrote the macro myself, so I'm pretty certain that nothing in here is malicious. So you've got the reassignment form right here. The first thing that you'll need to do is select your location. And in this little scenario, I would like to pretend I am from Cedarwood. This is a reassignment form that I scanned that I had received in the June 19th payroll, I believe last year. So I will click on the location, and there's a little drop-down menu I can click on and select Cedarwood Elementary School. Now, if I did not select anything there, I won't have any options when I go to click on my teacher options down here. When I click on the Cedarwood, it tells it my location is Cedarwood, and it opens up all of the teachers here that work at Cedarwood. All my locations should be in here, so if you work at Mays, should be a list of all your teachers there. So I'll go back to the Cedarwood scenario. And what I'd like to do is just transfer, and we won't be transferring anything. There's no reason to make up this sheet anymore. But I just want to show you how each field here is analogous to a field on the new sheet. So we're going to pretend that this is a new reassignment. Sarah Swisher was absent, and these 12 teachers helped to cover her class during the one day that she was absent. So we've got our location in there. First teacher is Ann Weinman. Forgive me for the last names if they're incorrect. The first thing you'll notice is that there may be more than one entry for each teacher. That's just because they have more than one entry in our system here for some reason. It doesn't matter if you choose the top one, if you choose the bottom one. The only thing that matters is that this text matches and that the ID is correct. So Ann Weinman was the first one. Nicole Graves Ward. I've noticed that she is not down here under Ward, so she has either changed her name or we haven't gotten the update in the system yet. So she is Nicole Graves, and as long as the ID matches, that is perfect. So I'm just going to fill these down while I continue to talk. Unfortunately, the scroll feature does not work on these drop-down menus. I will continue to work on that, see if I can get that working, and include that feature in a next update possibly. Rhonda Nickel. So you can either click on the move the scroll bar manually, or you can click above or below it and it jumps. Kim Stiers. Jamie Herrick. Right about now I'm wishing I'd chosen a shorter classroom reassignment. Alandora. Bettina Jones. And Mary West. So teachers here who helped to cover the absent teachers class. So we're most of the way there. Sarah Swisher was the teacher that was absent, and she goes over in this field called absent teacher. We will find her on the list. And what you can do is, just like the reassigned teachers, you can select her from the list every time. Sorry. Select the correct teacher from the list. In the interest of time, I will just copy and paste. And that's something that you should be able to do on any of these fields. The only thing is that it does have to be an acceptable value, so I would recommend that you choose the option here first. Select Sarah's name. Then you can copy and paste. It will yell at you if you give it an invalid value. So we got all the reassigned teachers, the absent teacher for all of these lines. And according to this form, it looks like Sarah was absent for 1 day, and all of these teachers split her class for the entire day. I'm just going to fill down the ones. You can copy and paste if you like. You can enter them in. The only requirement on this field is that it is greater than 1 or greater than 0. Obviously, no negative values. And if you are choosing, if you're in elementary school, for example, and the reassignment is by day, this cannot be greater than 1. So it has to be between 0 and 1. It has to be some fraction of a day. If you are selecting periods, say if you were a high school, this value would have to be between 1 and 6, I believe. I don't believe that we do fractions of periods, and I don't believe that we can reassign more than 6 periods in 1 day. So I'm going to set her back to days. Like I said, this is an elementary school, so they do go by the day. I'm going to copy and paste. And this is a common issue that I had with the paper forms and the grid over here on the right half of the old form. What I would have to do is, it looks like they filled down this line on the grid, and I had to kind of glean what day that was. Now, it looks like they're claiming 1 week, and they only utilized the first half of the grid here, so I'm assuming that this is the 24th, and this was October 23rd. So what we can do is go back and select October 23rd. What you can also do is manually type it in if you're better with the keyboard. Now the only caution I would give you with that is that it must be a valid date, just like all the other fields. It has to be an entry that has to be a value that occurs in this list here. And I go back and I give you exactly 1 year. I'm recording this on August 5th, 2015, and we go all the way back to August 5th, 2014. Tomorrow that would be August 6th, 2014, which I think are pretty reasonable values. If you do try to do October 23rd and you mistype, it'll yell at you, highlight it, and ask you to redo it. If you really go off the rails and you give it something crazy like letters, it also doesn't like that. So what you can do is either select it once, copy, paste it down, or you can manually enter. So we have successfully transferred all the information from this form and entered it on the new classroom reassignment sheet. So at this point, if we were done, which it looks like we are, this would be one complete form. We would then hit the top right button, the email and print. Now, because of the computer we're doing this on, I don't actually have a printer set up, so this is the standard XPS print to document kind of thing. So what will normally happen at this point is that whatever your default printer is, it will spit out a printout of the form that we just made up, and then immediately it will open up an Outlook document with all of the information that we just entered. If the principal was filling this out, it would recognize the username as a principal, and it would send it directly to classroom reassignment, or sorry, class reassign at columbus.k12.oh.us. If it does not recognize your username as a principal, it will send this email to your principal. So I've got Latasha Turner up here for Cedarwood Elementary School. And what we would do then is your job here is done. You would click send, and that would send it up to Latasha, and she would be able to forward that to me if she approves of all this information here. So all this says is that Weinman reassigned for Swisher on for this duration on this day, and it goes down here and says that about a dozen times for this one. So we can do that. I'm just going to switch it to my email address so Latasha doesn't get a weird email she doesn't know what to do with. So that is one form completed. That would be the end of it. What you could do is take that printout. That would be the analogous to the old paper form. And you could also take the, well, in addition to the printout that generated automatically, you could then take the sent email, or ask your principal to send print out the sent email from her sent box and attach that, and that would be analogous as the signature on the form. So if you want to staple those together, that should be all the documentation you need that it has been successfully sent and approved by the principal. So say we're ready for the next one. You can always hit the reset button here. That clears everything and sets you up for the next one. So let me go over the issue that I believe I have had in the past that I believe this will solve. Let me head over to the 79th page. So what had happened on this form is that it looks like Flynn was absent for one day, covered by 6 teachers. However, it looks like Gould had also covered for Flynn on May 13th. And when I had to manually enter these from the paper timesheet or the paper reassignment forms, that was always difficult to enter because they're all lined up here, but Gould has one extra entry. So I am going to select Como from the list here. We're assuming that I am from Como Elementary this time. Prost, McDougal, Ryder, and Gould. Okay, and they all reassigned for, assuming that's Pam Flynn. So I'll copy that and fill down. They reassigned for one day. And that date was, looks like May 12th, 2015. Take that and fill it down. Now for this extra day that Gould had covered for Flynn, I would create a new entry, rather a new line for one day on May 15th. You can skip a line if you like. I always like to because it kind of separates each reassignment. And when I hit the button, the first thing it'll do is go through, recognize that that is a deadline, delete it, and send it just the same as if there weren't a line there. I'll pretend that the bottom half of that doesn't exist. I don't think you need to watch me enter in anything more. Okay, we're going to assume that this is complete. We're saying that there were basically two reassignments here for Pam Flynn. One was on May 12th and was split 6 ways. The other one was on May 13th and it was only split 1 way. Um, Assuming that we're done, I will hit email and print. Again, you won't see this. You'll just get a sheet of paper. We'll open up your Outlook and it will prepare an email to Summer. So that should be all ready to go. You would normally hit send. Put my email in there so she doesn't get an odd email. And that's it. You can see that it deleted that deadline in there. And that would be it for that form. Now the last one is an issue that we did not have before that I believe I may have created. However, I did add a way to deal with it in this program, so we will pretend that I am from Marion Franklin High School, or page 66. Okay, so I'm going to select Marion Franklin. My first teacher here is Leslie Scott. And I will notice that she is not in the list here. She should be somewhere in there. By the way, these will all be alphabetical, so it should be pretty easy to find. Now, I did a little research on Leslie before I started doing this, and it looks like she has changed schools. So she is no longer at Marion Franklin, and so when I updated this list, I believe she's at Briggs now, so she did not show up under the Marion Franklin list. However, I do know that sometimes teachers jump schools mid-year. Sometimes these reassignments don't get submitted right away, and sometimes that time lag will create problems with teacher assignments. So if you go down to the very bottom, all the way to the bottom, I have created a new list for teachers that is all teachers. Now it's very cumbersome to work with. You can see I've got about 3,900 entries in here, so I wouldn't recommend you do this a whole lot. But you do have access to every teacher in the district here. So very carefully scroll down until you see Leslie Scott. Select her. And then you can go back to your Marion Franklin. Looks like she reassigned for a where. I'll just finish up this reassignment here. Okay, and since this is a high school, these are periods. That was another guessing game that I had to play before that I'm hoping to solve with this new form, because I will make you tell me that these are all periods. And there are some error handlers that I added in here, so if you do forget, you try and run it through without telling me if it was days or periods, it will ask you to enter that, and it will not print or email. So I've got 1, 3, 1, and 1 periods, 1, 3, 1, 1, and then the date on these is May 15th, my wife's birthday. Okay, so we got everything entered there. We got around that minor Leslie Scott situation. and we have switched our location back to Marion Franklin. Please do not leave it down on all, because we do want this going to the proper principal, and the principal is determined by the location that you give me up here. So we have given all the information that was on this form, and we plugged it into the new form. We email and print. Again, you won't see this. You'll just get a sheet of paper, and given a couple seconds, you should have a nice email here to what I'm assuming is the principal of Marion Franklin. You will notice that in the subject, it'll just say automated classroom reassignment, and then it'll come down here and grab your username. It is the same username that is used to log into the computer here, and it will come from your email address. So there's a nice chain of custody there. So it'll go to Danielle once you send this, and Danielle can again just forward that on to me, and everything should be wrapped up. Again, thank you for taking a look at this quick tutorial. If you do have any questions that I didn't address in this video, or if there are other issues, please give me a call at 365-6772, 365-6772. Thank you very much.